How's it going, guys? It's your boy Big Dave, and these are my UFC 316 predictions. We're going to start with the early prelim of Khaos Williams versus Andreas Gustafson. And Khaos Williams, what do we got here? Really big power puncher, pretty decent defensive wrestler, wonky technique. I think he gets away a lot with just having crazy athleticism and crazy power. Kind of looks like Roy Jones Jr. in the face. Not in the style at all, but got crazy power. Big right hand. Not like the smoothest technique. He's a little stiff looking, but man, he can just generate crazy power. And he's dangerous in all three rounds. Although the first round, the first exchange is always going to be the most dangerous. And he's fighting Andreas Gustafson, who's a Swedish dude who really likes to put pressure on people. He likes to break people, put him against the cage. His bread and butter is just overwhelming people with offense. He seems to have a pretty good chin, but I don't know if he's fought anyone with Williams' power. And I think I'm going to have to pick Williams. And I'm not too confident in this because I like what I see with Gustafson, but he has bad habits of when he's trying to put his pressure. He doesn't have a jab or anything. He doesn't really have like slick footwork or tricky ways to get in. He kind of just bulldozes in. And maybe that gives Khaos Williams trouble. But I have a feeling that Williams is, he's been preparing for a fight. I think he's going to be sharp, and I think he's going to be able to land something big on Gustafson. So I'm going to go Khaos Williams by TKO in the first round. But if you're picking Gustafson and he survives the first round and he's able to get some pace going, I think he's a live dog. So something to think about. But for me, I'm gonna have to go Khaos Williams. Moving up, we got MarQuel Medeiros versus Mark the Shark Choinsky. Great name. This is a tough one because MarQuel Medeiros, he's well-rounded. He seems pretty tough. He's a pretty good athlete. And then Mark Choinsky, he seems pretty good. He's undefeated. He's got some hands. I've watched a couple of his regional fights. He's got some hands. He's got some good, solid fundamentals. He's a little small, looking for the division. And, his grappling looks all right. He fought this big-ass dude. And the guy wasn't good, but he's fucking huge. And Choinsky just kind of walked him down and beat his ass and then submitted him with a rear naked choke. But I don't see that happening with MarQuel. I think Medeiros, I think he's a good fighter. He's well-rounded. He's not the kind of guy that's going to get boxed up. At least I don't think. I think his footwork is too good. But I don't like how he puts his back on the fence. So it could get risky, but this is a short notice fight for Mark. So I'm going to pick MarQuel Medeiros by decision, but I would not gamble on this fight unless you're just really confident in something. But you just never know when a regional guy steps up, like how good they're going to actually be. But he looks really good, so that's not a bad pick. But I think I'm going to pick MarQuel Medeiros, and I'm going to go by unanimous decision. Moving up, Quinlan Salkilld versus Yanal Ashmouz. And these are the first fight we have odds on. So Quinlan Salkilld, big lightweight. He's coming off that instantaneous knockout of Anshul Jabli. He does the whole fucking lighting up the J celebration. Fucking, awesome. I like that. He's got a curly mullet. I'm jealous. And a big mustache. I'm jealous again. Yeah, he's more of a boxer, but he'll mix up his wrestling. He's got some good pace that he can put on guys. And, he can push for all three rounds. His Contender Series fight is a fucking banger. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. That's a really good fight. But in that fight, he just keeps coming, man. And he's tough and mentally, you can tell he's not going to go away easily. And Yanal Ashmouz is more of a dynamic sort of one strike kind of guy. He's very fast and he's very how do you put it, explosive. There you go. But he's not very he doesn't have a jab. He doesn't set things up very well. He's more just trying to be really fast and hit you really hard. In his last fight against Trevor Peek, he used the takedowns a lot. I believe that was him. Fuck, I might be wrong. But, he was able to weather the storm of Trevor Peek. But the thing with Trevor Peek is, he's not as technical as someone as Quinlan Salkilld, and he's not as big. I think Yanal is going to have a speed advantage, which is going to be interesting to see how Salkilld deals with that. But I really like Salkilld. I think he's got something going. I just worry about him not being able to find Ashmouz, because Ashmouz is a very dynamic dude, and he will not just stand there and engage in a fight with you. He'll circle, he'll circle the cage, he'll try to cut angles, and then land one big shot. But I'm gonna trust Salkilld. He seems very well trained, and I think he's tough enough to not get knocked out by anything Ashmouz dude does. But this could be a tricky fight for him. But I'm gonna trust him. I'm gonna go Quinlan Salkilld. I'm gonna go by 3rd round finish. I think if Ashmouz starts slowing down, I think Salkilld can put it on him. But yeah, this is a tricky one. And Quinlan Salkilld is a -410 favorite. I don't agree with that. And you can have Yanal Ashmouz for +320. I don't think Salkilld is proven enough to be that big of a favorite. And he can still win, but yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. That's a risky line. Moving up, we got Azamat Murzakanov versus Brenson Ribeiro. A pretty easy one for me to pick. I'm going to go Azamat Murzakanov. Big southpaw, really quick, great left hand to the body, great ability to mix it up, dart in and out. Big power, very quick on the feet. Just a dangerous striker. He's one of those he's like the prototypical light heavyweight who's hits hard and can take a good shot. At least it seems like he can. And he's fighting Brenson Ribeiro. Brenson Ribeiro, orthodox. He's got half of the light heavyweight thing where he hits really, really hard and he's super athletic, but we've seen him get knocked out, and I think he's been knocked out before as well. Really scary looking guy though. He's very scary looking, so he gets points for that. No, I'm gonna have to go Azamat Murzakanov. I'm gonna have to go for him because I think he's faster, he's more consistent, and I think even if Brenson Ribeiro lands one of his big shots, I don't think it's going to be enough to knock him out. And I think on the other hand, if Azamat can time a big left hand, I think he can put Ribeiro out. But Ribeiro's, he's a big monster for the division, so that's always something you got to think about. But yeah, I'm going to go Azamat Murzakanov. I'm going to go 1st round knockout. And he is a -590 favorite, which is crazy. And you can have Brenson Ribeiro for +420. So yeah, I mean, that's that's something that can get people to want to bet on you if you're that big of an underdog. And it's still light heavyweight. All these guys got crazy power, but I actually am pretty impressed with Murzakanov. That Dustin Jacoby fight, I always go and watch that. Man, he's got hammers, bro. So yeah, I'm going to go Murzakanov. I'm going to go by knockout in the 1st round. Next fight, Ju Sang-yo, or I don't know how to say it, versus Jeka Saragih. So Ju Sang-yo is a really good kickboxer. I've watched a couple of his regional fights and some other fights, and yeah, he's very smooth on the feet, really, really athletic, really good head kicks, decent boxing. He has good takedown defense. I think he's a really good fighter, and I think he can, if he can get some wins, I think this is a guy that has a lot of potential. He's fighting Jeka Saragih, who's a pressure fighter. He looks for the knockout. He'll put pressure on you. And his last fight, I'll just read you 2 of his losses, and then you make of that what you will. Submitted by Weston Wilson. Knocked out by Anshul Jubilee. So those are his 2 losses in the UFC. So yeah, whatever you hear about that. But I'm gonna go Ju Sang-yo. I think he's an athletic monster, but I'll tell you this much: you gotta watch out for someone like Saragih because, God, I've said his name like 6 different times. Jeka. I'll just call him Jeka. You gotta watch out for a guy like him because he's going in there to knock you out. So he's not gonna probably play that tit for tat game that Sang Yo is really good for. You know, he likes a long range kickboxing bout. But Jeka maybe just puts pressure on him and breaks him. Like, you never know. But I'm gonna pick Ju Sang Yu by decision. Or even an early TKO is possible. But yeah, this is a weird one. He's unproven, so again, it's one of these things where you don't want to bet too much on a guy who's making his debut. I think he's making his debut. No, I think he has like one fight before then. But you always got to be careful putting your money on people that are big favorites that have yet to like really prove it against top competition. But I'm gonna trust him. I think he just hurts Jeka, but I think it's a good. I think it's gonna be a good fight. So I'm gonna go Ju Sang Yu by decision. And Ju Sang Yu is a minus 500 favorite, which is crazy. And you could have Jeka for a plus 360. Moving up, heavyweight slop. Here we go. Sergei Spivack, I'd love to fight him, versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. I just can't pick Sergei Spivack. I've never predicted one of his fights correctly. I think the only one I've got was his rematch versus Marcin Tybura. And I don't remember why my justification was. I just thought he was going to win. And he's good, you know. He's got some really good takedowns. He's fucking pretty fast for a heavyweight. His striking is not good. His durability is very questionable. Like, majority of his losses are by knockout. And he's fighting a big old boy. Waldo Cortez Acosta, really tedious to watch him fight. He has really bad low kick defense, so he gets his legs kicked all the time. But he's shown some decent takedown defense. I don't think he's ever been just mogged on the ground. I think Marcos Rogerio de Lima was able to put them things on him and kick the shit out of his legs and use the clinch to nullify him. But de Lima's a lot more aggressive than Spivack and a lot more polished on the feet. Whereas I think if Spivack gets clipped by Acosta, he's done. Like, I don't trust his durability at all, and that sucks because I think he's a good fighter, but man, when he gets hit, he looks like me getting hit. Like, he's fucking wincing and stuff like that. So I don't like to see that. So I'm gonna take a fly on the underdog. I think this is the first underdog I'm picking, but I'm gonna go Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think he might get a knockout in this. If he doesn't win in the first round, though, and Spivack is able to get him down, put money on him ASAP, because if you can't stop a Spivack takedown, that's bad for you. He'll fuck you up from the top. He'll either ground and pound you or submit you. So I'm gonna go Waldo Cortez Acosta by TKO, but this is an underdog, you know. And hey, maybe Spivack comes through and, you know, puts that grappling on him. But yeah, I'm gonna go Waldo Cortez Acosta, just being big and hitting hard. And Sergei Spivack is the minus 130 favorite, and Waldo Cortez Acosta is plus 110. Moving up, we got Ariana Lipski de Silva versus Cong Wang, greatest name ever. And you know, de Silva, pretty well rounded, not great on the ground actually. She's been submitted quite a few times. Good kickboxer, not a whole lot of power. You know, she's okay. She's not bad. Like, you don't look at her and you're like, God, she sucks. But she's not very dangerous. She doesn't have like that X factor of like big power or takedown threat. So she's kind of just stuck being an outside kickboxer. And I think against Cong Wang, she could have success, because Cong Wang, for all her offensive ability, you know, her defense can be a little lacking. But I think with the power she has, I think with the confidence and the speed and the size, well, I don't know how they stack up size-wise, but I think she's just got a little bit more to give. I think she hits just a little too hard. And I don't see De Silva taking her down and submitting her or anything. Could happen, I guess. But, yeah, I'm going to go Cong Wang. And I'm going to go by second round TKO. It's it's a weird fight, though. Ariana Lipski De Silva can be had for plus 275. And Cong Wang is the minus 350 favorite. So, hey, we'll see. Moving up. Ooh, it was a banger. We got Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van. Bruno Silva, man. I can never predict this guy's fights for some reason. Really dynamic dude on the feet. Great footwork, big power, good speed, smart, good defense. Yeah, he's a good fighter, man. His most recent fight, he lost to Manel Cap, but there's no real shame in that. It's not like he got fucked up the whole time, but Cap was just way too fast for him, and Cap's chin is crazy for a flyweight because Bruno Silva hits hard. But I think Bruno Silva's, he's got some skills, man, and he's got a really well-built game. He seems pretty smart. He's fighting Joshua Van, who's a tank, a young kid, big power, small for the division, but it doesn't stop his power. You know, I think his arms are like 1/3 of his body weight. Dude is slim all the way, but he's got his arms are bigger than mine. Shit's crazy. Likes to box. Not much of a kicker, not much of a wrestler, although defensively he's really good, surprisingly. Defensively he's really solid. Not the fastest flyweight, which again is crazy because he's small, but he's more like a John Lineker type guy. Without that crazy power, but still he's got really good power. But I'm going to take the underdog. I think I'm going to go Bruno Silva, man. I think he can move on the outside, use his speed, hit Van, and get out in time without getting knocked out. The thing with Bruno Silva is that he can lose a decision that you can argue he won. And the thing with Joshua Van is he can win a decision you can argue that he lost. So, you know, you watch that Zumagulov fight. It's a little worrying, you know what I mean? But I'm going to go Bruno Silva. I'm going to go by decision. I think he uses his speed. I think Joshua Van gets hit a little bit too much for my liking. And I just think Bruno Silva's a crafty dude. He's a little older, so maybe he wins, and then just gets caught by Van, and that's it. And if that happens, hey, you know, it is what it is. But I'm going to go Bruno Silva, and I'm going to go by unanimous decision. But it's going to be a banger, I think. Flyweight, right? Moving up, Mario Bautista versus Patchy Mix. Mario Bautista, enemy number one. He has a hit out on him. And, you know, he's a very good fighter, dude. I like Mario Bautista a lot. Strong, big guy for the division. Awkward striking, but really good striking. Great kicks. Good power. Good wrestling. Smart. Good game plans. He's just a really well-rounded guy who's been slowly working his way up the bantamweight rankings. And he's fighting Patchy Mix, who, in my opinion, is one of the best bantamweights in the world. This dude is nasty on the ground. Like, this fool's a beast. And if I read correctly, he's fighting for money in high school just to feed his family. You can't teach that sort of shit. So, Patchy Mix, great submission artist. Dominating in Bellator, only lost to Juan Archuleta, and it's not like he was getting fucked up in that fight. He kind of just got out-wrestled. And yeah, just a nasty dude. I think I'm going to pick Patchy Mix. I think he gets Mario Bautista's back, and I think he gets a rear naked choke. So, I think Bautista's the better striker, and, you know, he's finally someone as big as Patchy Mix and as athletic as him, so maybe he just surprises him, but I'm going to pick Patchy Mix, man. And this isn't just because I'm mad at Mario Bautista for what he did to Aldo. I swear. I think. But yeah, I think Patchy Mix, I think he's that guy. And I think he's in his prime right now. And yeah, this is a good matchup. But I'm gonna go Patchy mix. I'm gonna go by second round submission. And Mario Bautista is plus 135, and Patchy mix is the minus 170 favorite. Also, Bruno Silva is plus 390 underdog, and Joshua Van is a minus 530 favorite. So I don't know about that. Moving up, we got Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. Vicente. I love him. How can you not? Every fight he brings it. Great Muay Thai, great power, great chokes, tough as hell. Well, historically tough as hell. But he looks a little bit, worried. That Buckley fight is weird. He just pulls guard and lets Buckley TKO him. And he wasn't doing bad, but I don't know what that's all about. And, fighting Kevin Holland, big, tall dude for the division. Not much of he doesn't really have like a game, quote unquote, but he's got big power and he's very durable. So I don't think Luque is going to be able to knock him out. And I think Kevin Holland, I think the leg kicks could give him problems, but I just trust Kevin Holland to be too tall, too rangy. But this could be Luque. This could be like Luque versus Randy Brown. I swear I'm not saying that just because they're both tall, skinny black guys. I mean, Luque in that fight was fucking that leg up, and anytime they exchanged, he was just firing left hands over right overhands. And against Kevin Holland, that can work. But I think Kevin Holland is one of the most durable fighters of all time. The dude's chin is crazy. I've only seen him really rocked a few times. I mean, this guy fought prime Thiago Santos on short notice and took all of his shots and never even really got... he got hurt, but he never got like wobbled bad. So I'm going to go Kevin Holland. I think he's still got that durability. I don't trust Luque when he starts getting hit, if he's going to worry, because, he had that brain bleed. So that's worrying. So I'm going to pick Kevin Holland, and I'm going to pick by unanimous decision, but that's a weird fight. Moving up, Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. I don't need to break either of these guys down. Kelvin Gastelum, southpaw boxer, struggling with the ground game lately. Very durable. Again, one of these chins that are just insane. He's lost a little bit of speed. Maybe his power was mostly due to how quick he could hit people. But, he's had some wars with some of the top fighters in the world. But he's always struggled with big wrestlers. All back to the Chris Weidman fight. He just struggles when a guy will shoot on him. And, Joe Pyfer, what do we got? Big right hand. That's about it. Big left hand. Not like super high output, but he will just range. Good right body kicks. Good right head kicks. Good right hands. I think Gastelum's the better striker, but I think Joe Pyfer will shoot the takedowns, and I think he'll be able to probably control Gastelum on the ground. But if you see in the first round, if you see Gastelum scrambling and he's able to get away from Pyfer over and over, I think Gastelum probably has the cardio advantage. But I think Joe Pyfer's got a good chin, so I don't think Gastelum's just going to knock him out. I think Gastelum's best bet is to just put a pace on him and try to out-volume him and maybe break him like that. But I think Pyfer just has a more diverse game. He'll go to the wrestling. I just think he might be a little too big. So I'm going to go Joe Pyfer. I'm going to go by second round submission. And Kelvin Gastelum is plus 310 underdog, and Joe Pyfer is the minus 395 favorite. So not a whole lot of value there. Moving up, we got the co-main event, Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison for the UFC Women's Bantamweight title. Juliana Pena, how do you even break her down? Good grappler. Not the best hands, even though she beat up Amanda Nunes on the feet, which is hilarious. But her grappling is good. Her MMA grappling is great. she's slowing down a little bit. That Raquel Pennington fight was not very impressive. I think Pennington lost herself that fight. I think Pennington low-key could have swung on Pena over and over and probably got the finish. But Pena's big for the division. She's big and she's mean looking, and I think she's pretty intimidating when she's in there. And then Kayla Harrison, you know, grappler. That's all she is. She has no real striking. Big and athletic. Obviously, she's an Olympian, and she's super confident. But I wonder what happens when she can't just control you. What happens if you keep scrambling, and every time you're on the feet, even if you're not landing a lot, what if you just keep that pace on her? What if you stand there and you don't back down? That's what I wonder. I think I'm gonna... Man, this is weird. I think I'm gonna trust Juliana Pena. Oh God, I can't believe I said that. I think she can scramble with Harrison. Say what you want about Pena, but her grappling is good. Maybe she's just talking the right shit that's getting me to pick her, but I think she can outdo Kayla Harrison on the feet. Not obviously, it's not going to look that great, but I think Kayla Harrison, again, dropping down to 135. I don't know how that's going to translate in a 5-round fight. Did she have a 5-round fight? I don't even remember. But I'm going to go Juliana Pena. I'm going to go by unanimous decision. I think she's got that dog in her, man. And Kayla Harrison, I think she's obviously really good, but she's benefited from fighting a whole lot of nothing. I think she beat Caitlin. No, I forgot who she beat. I'm not even going to say it. But yeah, I'm going to go Juliana Pena, and I'm going to go by decision or possible submission. And Juliana Pena is the plus 455 underdog, so that's a huge underdog. And Kayla Harrison is the minus 625 favorite, so she's a huge favorite. So obviously Harrison should be the favorite. You know, I agree, but I'm going to take a chance, man. What the fuck do I got to lose? So yeah, I'm picking Juliana Pena. Main event, Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. Now this is a rematch, obviously. In the first fight, you know, Merab was able to put that pace on O'Malley. He was able to just kind of control him for large portions of the fight and kind of negated a lot of the damage that O'Malley did. O'Malley had his moments. I kind of remember that fight as him getting dominated, and the commentary is acting like he's getting dominated. But he landed some good shots. But I think Merab, the fact that he was still in there, he wasn't getting rocked, and he was also landing some good shots here and there. I think that obviously gives him the fight. Sean O'Malley, man, he's a great striker. He's probably one of the more enjoyable fighters to watch. And Merab, this is going to be biased, but Merab to me is not fun to watch. I know his fight with Umar was cool. I just don't enjoy the other stuff. I'm not a Merab enjoyer. I don't give a shit about if someone makes funny videos on the internet. I don't care. I'm 32 years old. And if you care about that, that makes you like someone, more power to you. It might as well mean nothing to me. And O'Malley, same thing. Like, I don't really give a shit that he's like got the crazy hair and, you know, he smokes weed and all this stuff like that. I just watch the fights. And when I watch the fights, O'Malley is so much more fun to watch. Merab obviously is good. You know, he puts that pace on dudes, and that shit is crazy to see. He beat up my boy Piotr Yan, so maybe that's why I don't like him. But, and this is going to be a bad pick, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to go Sean O'Malley. I think if he comes in with a better game plan, and if he is recovered, because he did not fight good in that first one, I think he can really keep Merab at the end of his range and just light him up with kicks and straight punches. O'Malley needs to go up the middle a little bit more. He used the front kick, but I think since he didn't land it that often early, I think he kind of went away with it. But I liked his body work in the first fight. He was landing a lot of shots to the body. Now, obviously, commentators are never going to point that out. They're never going to point out front kicks. They're never going to point out punches to the body unless it's like a crazy left hook. It's just the way it is. But I think O'Malley's got this, man. I think this is... I mean, obviously, Merab should be the favorite because he won the first one and we've never seen him get tired and all yada yada. But I'm going to trust in Sean O'Malley, man. I think if he has the right game plan, he can win 3 of the 5 rounds. So I'm going to go Sean O'Malley by decision, and that is insane. So do not listen to my pick if you're a gambler. If you're listening to me for gambling advice, I'm sorry, but you probably shouldn't. But Merab is the minus 325 favorite, and Sean O'Malley is the plus 260 underdog. So I'm going with underdogs in both the main and co. So I don't have good odds on my predictions being correct. But yeah, I can't help what I think. I think Sean O'Malley's got what it takes. And yeah, that's my picks, guys. Hopefully we just got some good fights coming up. And yeah, take care.